The Tignon Laws were enacted in 1786 by Governor Esteban Rodriguez Miró of Louisiana, during the period when the region was under Spanish colonial rule. These laws targeted women of African descent, including both free women of color and enslaved women, mandating that they cover their hair in public by wearing a tignon, a type of headscarf or wrap. This legislation was an attempt to reinforce and maintain the strict racial and social hierarchies that were central to colonial society at the time, where distinctions between race and class were closely guarded. During the 18th century, Louisiana had a diverse and complex population made up of various ethnic groups, including a growing population of free people of color, many of whom were of mixed African and European ancestry. These women, in particular, were often known for their striking beauty, elaborate hairstyles, and luxurious clothing, which could rival or even surpass the fashion of white European women. Their appearance, confidence, and visibility in public life were perceived by some white colonists as a challenge to the racial status quo, blurring the lines between the races and social classes. This growing visibility was seen as a potential threat to white supremacy, as free women of color were asserting a level of autonomy and social presence that some white elites found unsettling. In response to these concerns, Governor Miró issued the Tignon Laws, which required these women to cover their hair in an attempt to make them appear less fashionable, less desirable, and ultimately to underscore their perceived lower social status. The tignon was intended to function as a visible marker of their racial difference and to diminish their attractiveness in the public eye. It was a way of visibly branding them as other and reinforcing their subordinate place in the colonial hierarchy. However, the women subjected to these laws responded in a way that was both creative and defiant. Instead of allowing the tignon to strip them of their individuality and style, many of these women embraced the head wrap and turned it into a symbol of their own resistance. They used vibrant, colorful fabrics, intricate wrapping techniques, and bold patterns to transform the tignon from a symbol of oppression into a fashion statement. By doing so, they maintained their sense of identity, autonomy, and pride despite the laws intended to suppress them. The law's imposition thus backfired, as these women continued to assert their individuality and resisted efforts to erase their cultural presence. The Tignon Laws represent an intersection of colonialism, race, and gender, illustrating the ways in which clothing and appearance have been historically policed in efforts to reinforce social hierarchies. At the same time, they demonstrate the resilience and creativity of marginalized groups who have consistently found ways to reclaim and subvert symbols of oppression. Over time, the tignon, like other forms of head wraps, has become a powerful symbol of cultural pride, self-expression, and heritage within African and African American communities. Today, head wraps are worn by many people as part of a broader reclamation of African cultural traditions and an expression of pride in Black identity.